Welcome to the Mindset Mile podcast, the show that'll leave you empowered to take action towards becoming the turned up version of your already awesome self. I'm your host, Aisha Zaza, and I'm so glad you're here. Let's go. Hey fam, welcome back to the show. This past weekend, I celebrated my 35th birthday, in case you've been wondering how old I am. It was on Friday. I love birthdays. I know not everybody does, but I love celebrating birthdays. I love celebrating my own. I love celebrating other people's. I love wrapping and giving gifts. I love baking treats. I love it. It's like your day. The world changed once you came into it, and that is something to be celebrated. Okay, I'll get off my birthday soapbox and move on to what you're here for. Today, I want to talk to you about one of my most favorite qualities, grit. I looked up the Webster definition of the word in terms of what we're referring to here, and it says, grit is firmness of mind or spirit, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. How would you rate your own sense of grit on a scale from 1 to 10? If I had to rate my own sense of grit, I'd probably say I was somewhere around an 8 or 9. Grit can be learned from so many things in life, and I attribute much of my own to being an athlete. I played sports for a couple years in high school, and I always liked to work hard, but I'd say doing CrossFit for the last 11 years as an adult has really shaped so much of how I view and handle tough situations. That's something I've always loved about CrossFit. It's about finding comfort in discomfort. You really have to go somewhere else mentally to endure some of the physical stress because, let's be honest, it hurts to push yourself. Yeah, and it's a hell of a lot easier to not do anything, that's for sure. But there are no gains in romanticizing about the body you want or the physical shape you want to be in or the person you want to become. I'm not saying if you don't do CrossFit, then you don't have grit, not at all. But of course, I'm just sharing some of my own personal references of how physical fitness can help shape your mental fitness. I'm going to get into a few ways that you can help yourself build mental toughness. But before I do, I want to give you a few examples of how I've personally become mentally tough because of my training. So whether I'm out on a long run, training for a race, or at the gym, I'm always very mindful of how I talk to myself in my head about where I am in relation to being finished. By default, when something is uncomfortable or it sucks, what do we tend to do? We usually see our progress in terms of how little we've accomplished and how much left there is to do, saying things like, oh, how are we only 5 minutes into this workout? Or how have I only ran 3 miles? Or I'm only halfway done. I always play tricks on my mind in the way I phrase the work I've done or what there is left to do. So let's say, for example, I have a 10-mile training run. At mile 4, instead of looking at the 6 miles I have left to do, I'll instead tell myself, in only 1 more mile, I'll already be at my turnaround. Or if it's a long, chipper workout at the gym and I'm starting to feel fatigued, I'll look at the time and I'll tell myself something like, in 5 minutes, I'll only have 5 more minutes left. Or at the halfway point, I always think about how I'm already halfway done, never only halfway done. These shifts in verbiage are slight, but they make all the difference in how you rally yourself for literally anything. This can be applied to a volume goal you have in your business or even a weight loss or weight gain goal you have. Look at things in terms of how far you've already come instead of how far you have left to go. One breeds encouragement. The other breeds frustration and dissatisfaction. Grit is built each time you tough through anything that's uncomfortable physically or mentally. So how you talk to yourself is going to be the difference. Hey, really quick. As an avid runner, I'm always looking for running gear that meets the functional and stylish mark, which is why I don't wear any other running glasses besides Gooder. Gooder frames are so lightweight but snug. They never bounce or slip when I'm on a run, a hike, or just out and about running errands. I've been loving the Mach G aviators and OG styles as of late, but at $25 a pop, I keep a pair in my car, in my purse, and on the console table with my keys, so I'm never without some good eye protection. All Gooder Sunnies are 100% UV protective and polarized. They're seriously the best, and you need a pair. Use code MindsetMile to get 15% off your order. And when you order 2 or anything over $50, you'll also get free shipping. Check them out at Gooder.com. That's GOODR.com and get 15% off when you use code MindsetMile. Now, let me just remind you of some perspective here. Just because you can't or don't push through something someone else does not mean you are lacking grit. We each have our own unique thresholds in different situations. You know how when you watch the Olympics or really any professional athlete on TV, they make what they do look so easy, like it barely takes any effort. But that's all relative. Things don't become easier. You just get stronger, faster, and better at what you're doing. So you'll just keep pushing the envelope. Those people have spent years of their life building mental toughness because you better believe their sport is first won or lost in their head before it ever plays out on their field. The feats they push their body to are extraordinary, but just because it looks easy doesn't mean it is. And the same will apply to you and whatever it is you are doing. So just know your mental and physical toughness is never in relation to anyone else's. It's in relation to where you started. So how do you go about building grit? We often think grit is how we respond to extreme situations, but really it's how you respond to everyday circumstances. You can choose how you want to build your mental stamina, but it'll look like committing and executing whatever your goal is. So make sure whatever you set out to do is doable. So maybe your goal is to cut out processed sugar for 30 days, which is actually very challenging if you've never gone that long before, but I digress. Maybe it's doing yoga or a meditation for 30 days straight, or walking or running a mile for 30 days. Shameless plug for the Mindset Mile Challenge, which, by the way, if you're new to the podcast and have only checked out more recent episodes, the first 30 episodes of this podcast were created around a 30-day challenge for you to either walk or run 1 mile a day for 30 days while listening to the corresponding daily episode. You could say that grit is exactly what my hopes were that you would gain by following the challenge. Maybe your goal is to read 10 pages of a book every day for 3 months, or a no spending challenge for 30 days. You determine what it is you need, but whatever it is, know that grit is built by showing up on the busy days you just don't feel like it, but did because you said you would. When you want to scroll Instagram, instead, create a post for your business. When you want to stop after 9 reps, do 10. It literally looks like pushing through one very small thing at a time. This type of discipline will build character like nobody's business, I'm telling you. Eventually, it'll become a game, and you will feel like you've won every time you chose to get in one more rep. Building grit anywhere helps you build grit everywhere. That's what I love about it. You will discover new ways in which you can improve the small daily habits that serve you. It helps you take responsibility for things instead of deflecting everything, which leaves you in the driver's seat to make change. So I want to give you a call to action this week. What is one small thing you want to challenge yourself to do for the next 30 days that will help build your grit and mental toughness? I want to see what those are. So when you decide what that is, tag me on social media with this episode at Aisha Zaza so I can cheer you on in your quest to becoming gritty. I can't wait. I'll see you next week. And until then, make it a great day.